Ahead of Juneteenth, we are talking about those who made an impact in history. And today, one professor is giving people a place to not only tell stories of the past, but also helping to tell stories of the future.
That's right. Dr. Liv Furman is a professor at MSU and is a part of the Black Diaspora Quilt History Project, which includes quilters who've been left out of the national project. So we'll check it out. For generations, quilting in Black families has served as a way to tell stories of the past. But at this exhibition at MSU, the tradition is telling stories of the future. Dr. Liv Furman is an MSU professor and assistant project director of the Black Diaspora Quilt History Project. This project includes Furman's quilt, along with others in an effort to preserve Black stories and legacies that have been left out of the National Quilt Index. The quilts displayed in the MSU Union represent their Afro-futurism.
For me, Afro-futurism is many things. It's a genre, it's an aesthetic, it's a style of music, it's a style of thinking, all combining themes of African folk throughout the diaspora, as well as our people, our culture, and themes of technology and future science.
Those themes consist of?
Here, it looks like me joining hands with other people in my community. And for me, that future looks like being together with my friends, more tending to the land as stewards of the land with the right relationship, a sustainable relationship. It looks like flowers. It looks like growing our own food. It looks like us envisioning other things. It looks like us getting free in whatever that way that means for each of us as individuals.
Parts of the quilt look like Octavia Butler.
This is somebody I often look up to, like literally. And Octavia Butler wrote a lot of, fiction, like stories.
It also resembles Fannie Lou Hamer.
Is another person I look up to as an activist, as well as was a sharecropper, gardened and did a lot of activism regarding climate justice in the environment and Black folks' relation to it.
And includes inspiration from Janelle Monáe.
They are another, Black, queer, free body, non-binary person who I look up to in a more kind of popular sense.
Each of them play a role in how Furman imagines their future, but the inspiration came from the past.
My first introduction to quilting was through my grandmother. That was how she got to know all of us grandkids and spend time with us. She would take us and do crafts like crocheting, like you mentioned earlier, and sewing, different types of crafts, gardening as well. And quilting was one of those skills that she taught me.
Furman's grandmother's teachings are also woven into this quilt.
And I think that's what I've learned from my grandmother. She is one of those type of people who every stitch, is not going to be just overly perfectionist, but it's still going to be beautiful.
The quilt started as Furman's dissertation project.
Instead of having a formal, empirical white Western research document, I wanted to have an art exhibition as my dissertation and be disruptive in that way, to use my own literacies to speak the truths that I wanted to tell.
But now it's flourished into an exhibit with quilters from across the country as a way to weave their culture into the past, present, and future.
So I think sometimes when you first set a dream, you don't know what it could be. The dream is more expansive than what you know initially.
Absolutely beautiful. And that exhibit is located at the MSU Union and is open until July 31st. You can also celebrate Juneteenth with us by tuning in to our 1 hour long special Juneteenth Unity in the Community right here on WILX at 5 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to hear the stories of Lansing changemakers who have made a true impact on mid-Michigan and are working to make change abroad. But first,